Wow, you sound so official. Good morning, everybody.
How are ya?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine.
Hope everybody's had a good week last week and a good week this week. We want to invite anyone who wants to participate in the show that you can call into WPSL Studios at 772-340-1590. And if you're too far away to get our radio signal, which, by the way, goes from Palm Bay to PGA up and down the highway,
Oh, I can't
never
believe-
fear. You can listen in real time on the TuneIn app. And you can also view all the past shows on WPSL TV on YouTube whenever you want to.
Yeah. Now, as of last Friday, into 59 countries, WPSL and WS.
Wow.
Yeah, Monday through Friday numbers are anywhere between 59 and 60 countries listening. It's absurd.
That's
It's
wonderful.
So we will actually have by first quarter of next year, real like actual numbers, IP addresses and stuff like that. It's going to be very cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you start hearing some commercials from Zimbabwe, you understand that
They're listening too.
they're listening too. Yes.
We get everywhere.
Yeah. Well, which is probably really good for the county folks, a lot of tourists and stuff,
Yes.
buying homes. Yeah.
Yes. And there are our international buyers, those numbers are going up as well. It used to be maybe 10%, and I think we're up to more like 13% now.
Yeah. And, we had the huge Mexican Independence Day event for La Gigante yesterday, and was talking to the Mexican, the Consul General of Mexico. And he was talking about, of course, he's based in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And he is saying that there are 800 Brazilians a week moving into Miami and with money. And he just said, it's like
That's why the prices keep going up.
they're reinvesting in the United States.
Yes. So we want to pass this word along that if you want this show to continue, we are certainly looking for sponsors. So if you know anybody that wants to sponsor the My Dream Home radio show, you can contact WPSL at 772-340-1590, or you can call or text myself at 772-200-5105. I want to just put a little plug in here for next Sunday, September 25th. We'll be at the craft show that they're having at Addington Place in Stewart.
Oh, okay, good.
Addington Place is on Astor Lane, right by Indian Street.
Yep.
And I think it starts at 10 o'clock. So we'll have some of because that's my hobby. I make jewelry out of the shells that I collect.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, all the
Wow.
proceeds go back into the community. So I participate whenever I can.
And you're also volunteering at the
Habitat for Humanity
Habitat.
Restore. Absolutely.
wow.
Yep.
Still doing that.
Yep.
Wow, hats off to you. That's great.
I give back whenever I can.
There you go.
That's the advantage of controlling my schedule, that I can do those things.
Wow, wouldn't that be nice?
So I don't want to delay any longer. We have a wonderful featured guest with us today, and we want to welcome her right now. This is Jenny Fields. She's the Martin County Property Appraiser. So good morning, Jenny. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so delighted to be on the radio.
Wow, the grand poobah of Martin County.
I know. Just Jenny. Just Jenny.
Just Jenny. Oh.
So before we get into our outline, this is a new, better position for you over the past year, right?
Yes. I was, I've been in the office for, I think, almost 34 years.
You don't look 34 years old.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, she started when she was 2.
Yeah.
She was just a little advanced,
Yeah, but I was elected in 2020, so I'm just wrapping up my second full year. So it's everything I can imagine. It's amazing. I have a great team here, and I love it. I just love it.
Yes, and I can attest, living in Martin County, I can attest the fact that the property appraiser's office is always very receptive to anything you need help with.
Good, good. Thank you.
So let's talk about the trim notices that went out recently.
Yes, so the Martin County trim notices went out on August 18th. So it's been 25 days since they were mailed. One thing I'd like to say, it's very important when people get that trim notice, and I am going to apologize. I had a scratchy throat this weekend. But it's important to know that when you see your value, it's based on the date of assessment of January 1st. Okay.
Do you have something to drink, Jenny?
I do. I do.
Tequila works real well, by the way, Jenny.
Yeah, I was thinking, goodness, it was Zoom because I was having this weekend, but I'll be fine. But anyway, date of assessment, and what that means is the value that you see, it is based on the 2021 market. Okay. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
I'm gonna take a cough drop here real quick. So what that means is we are prohibited from using sales that have occurred after January 1. So when you see the value, it's almost a year old already. So that's important.
Yeah, when I talk to buyers coming, especially buyers who are not from Florida and don't understand our process, I explain that to them right away.
We appreciate everything the realtors do. I mean, you guys are on the front lines and you have to answer these questions that are so tough. And that's why education and getting out and talking to our realtors has been my #1 priority. I mean, I love it.
Well, we appreciate your accessibility also.
Thank you. But also, it's always important to know too, it's not a bill. This is what we say your value is. But this is also showing you a glimpse of what your proposed your taxes will be when you get it in November. So this is the time where people really want to attend the budget meetings for the taxing authorities, because this is when they're going to determine their final millage rate. And then anyone, of course, and you know this, I know you tell everybody, but if you're a recent purchaser and you purchased this year in 2022, just know that the trim notice you received and all the limitations, the Save Our Homes, the exemptions, they're all the prior owners. They're not yours. So it's important to know that if you are a new buyer in 2022, this is your deadline to file for homestead will be next March. But
right.
Everything you see there is based on what you inherited from the prior owner on January 1. So those are just a couple of things I'd love to just mention, putting it out there.
And I always send out a notice in February for any new buyers that we've had over the past year to remind them to make sure that they do their homestead exemption if they qualify for it before March 1st. Yep.
Excellent. And they can always do it online, right from our homepage. That way they don't have to come into the office, but they don't have to wait till next year.
Things are so much more convenient nowadays.
Right.
Okay, dumb question. What happens if you miss the deadline?
Okay, so technically, if you would have purchased last year, let's just say in 2021, your deadline to file would have been March 1st of this year. But it's not. In Martin County, you can actually come in and apply all the way through the end of the 25 days after you receive your trim notice. After the trim notices are mailed, you have 25 days. After that date, at that point, it's too late. So even if you pass the March 1st deadline, you can still come in and late file. We'll just have you sign a late file affidavit, but there's still time. That's just the official statutory deadline.
So that means that even if they missed the March 1st date, they could file all the way up to like almost the middle of September.
Yes, That's correct. But once we certify our roll to the tax collector and the bills are mailed, there is no more.
So they'd have to wait until next March then,
Correct.
right?
They have to file for the next year. They've missed that year.
That would be a very expensive miss.
Right.
That's
One of the
why it's
things
so
that
important.
we had a lot of unique situations. As you know, we just finished we call this our appeal period because we spend 25 days talking. I think we got almost 1,000 phone calls this year.
I was going to ask that question. How much more
Actually,
often
it's
does the phone
less.
ring after the trim notice?
Yeah, you know what? It's actually less. Our phone calls
Really?
were down, our live chats were down, our emails were down. And, I like to think that it's because it's our outreach, because we worked so hard to educate new owners, potential buyers, local realtors. So it's the more education you can get out, and not to mention the market was in the top story every time you open the newspaper. Everyone kind of knew what was happening in the market. So it wasn't a surprise, but.
Well, and sales are down because inventory is down. So
yeah. And the number of sales days on market are getting a little bit longer.
yes.
We haven't seen, as you know, we kind of look backwards because when we value, it's based on the prior year, but just kind of like what we've seen so far, while the days on market are a little bit longer, the prices are still there. So it'll be interesting for next year. We'll be looking at this whole year, but a unique situation that we saw this year too was a lot of people that have owned their home for a very long time here, but the home here was their second home. So they might have been from Connecticut or New York or wherever. So they wanted to come down and file. Problem was they had a non-homestead cap. And I don't know if you know that, but if it's not a homestead property, every other property is capped at 10%. When you have homestead exemption, your assessed value cannot go up any more than 3%.
3%,
that it's the Save Our Homes cap. Every other property is capped at 10%. Commercial, industrial, vacant land, rental properties.
No, I didn't know that they had a cap on them. That's
They
good to
all have
know.
a cap. They all have a cap. And so, but aside from the homestead, the 10% cap doesn't get applied to the school levies. So it's the full market, but it's still a 10% cap. Well, what was happening is they were coming down and filing for homestead, but the 10% cap was so high, it would not have even benefited them to have the homestead because their cap, their nugget that they don't pay taxes on,
Yes.
because they've owned that rental property or their second home down here for so long, it was such a gap that it would have been higher, had they filed for homestead. So a lot of people just decided to wait.
So that's an option for them.
As long as you're not
choose,
risking,
right?
As long as you're not risking losing your portability, because to port your Save Our Homes, you only have 3 years.
Right.
But most of the people, they're up north, so they don't have any port. They just chose to wait, and they're not filing for homestead until they see if the values come down, because it would have been more taxes had they filed for homestead. Because when you do, that 10% cap that you're not paying on, that value gets put back on.
Right.
So that was a unique situation this year.
Have that next year as well.
Really, as long as, especially right now, because now everyone has that differential, market value jumped up. So all of our existing homestead property owners, their Save Our Homes benefit just got a lot larger because their market value jumped up,
Went up,
but
so
their
much
assessed could only go up that little tiny bit. Same thing
Right.
with 10%. As long as the market keeps going up, they're going to have that gap. So until the market eventually comes down to meet the assessed, that's when you would see a difference. But otherwise, that gap will keep growing.
Well, and that's going to take a huge change for that to occur.
Right.
We've been seeing some commercials about it sounds like a huge development in Martin County.
Well,
it looks like it's out west.
there are a few.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was just curious because it looks like it's a massive project.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Are you speaking of Newfield and Palm City, the one between Palm City and Port St. Lucie?
No, this is yet another one. No, the Newfield thing I knew about. Actually, I think we broke that story with the publisher at Kiplinger's
Okay.
about 6 years ago on our IRSC show when he was speaking there.
Yeah, they've been working on that a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His family has been in Martin County. I didn't know since the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Which, wow, I thought that was amazing. But no, this is yet another one.
On Bridge Road, Atlantic Fields.
Yeah, maybe that.
No,
may be
that's
it.
that's the newer one. That one will still be years out. Maybe you're talking about High Point. That's going to
High
be a
Point?
big community.
That's by Christ Fellowship.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like 300 acres. Part of that's going to be, at least from what I remember reading, part of that's going to be residential and part of it will be
Ag is it still ag?
it will be land that's kept as camp
Conservation.
for like a conservation camp,
Yeah,
but it's
green
also a
space.
camp for first responders kids who aren't there anymore.
Wow, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big project. That's already started.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, things at Martin County are really changing. I mean, it's it was pretty static for a long time, but changes are coming.
Yes.
Yeah. We
Plenty
had
of new
a,
community.
I know just this year, our market value went up 23%. And for Martin County, that's, our taxable went up, almost 12%. But like you said, we haven't had a lot of growth when you look at our neighboring counties. And I know this year, our new construction was almost 50% increase. So that's just unusual. Usually we add about 250, 260 homes a year. This year it was more like 550 homes. So again, almost a 50% increase this year. And so that was unusual.
I'll bet there's going to be just as many next year if they get sold. I mean, there are, I can think off the top of my head, 2 new communities on Cove Road. There are 2 new ones further west out on Canner that are started. There's a new one east on Canner, not too far from Indian. And then there's the one in Palm City. There's the one off of Pratt Whitney.
Eileen, there's a great feature. It's actually, it's always been on Martin County's website, but it's kind of buried down. So we've actually created a link right from our homepage under quick links, and it's called New Proposed Developments. And if you click on that button, it takes you right to the Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Oh, that's great. That's so convenient.
It's an interactive map, and it will let you look at the map and zoom in and zoom out. It tells you what's been approved, what's in approved for development, what's in construction, what's approved for construction. I mean, and you can click on everything. It tells you how many single family homes, whether they're townhomes. It's awesome. I mean, we love that map. And if you're ever wondering in your neighborhood, like, what is going in here? Or even road construction, if you wonder, you see cones up, like, what are they doing? You can click on the road and it'll tell you widening to 4-lane or, whatever. It's a great button. You can get it right on our homepage.
And it's called New Proposed Development.
New Proposed Developments. Yep.
Great.
Yeah, that's great news. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Sure. Yeah. And the look of this place in another, if Dr. Jerry Parrish is correct, especially with Indian River and St. Lucie counties, the look of the Treasure Coast is going to change pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
Like very dramatically. Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be nice to keep some of the good old stuff.
Yes, it would. Yeah. Yeah. The best of all worlds in a way. Yeah.
I love downtown Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
We love Martin. We like it. We love it. We love it the way it is. And,
So can we discuss, because I know a big portion of our population are senior citizens. Can we discuss that a little bit, Jenny?
Notice
Sure.
Jenny, she's looking at me when she says,
I
senior
did not
citizens.
say that.
I'm glad I can't see him. I'm only seeing Eileen. So, yeah. So the one of the most popular exemptions that we have here in Martin County. Well, I mean, it's statewide, but it's called the Limited Income Seniors Exemption. Basically, what that means is you have to have homestead exemption, number one. So you have to qualify to have homestead exemption. But one of the owners, if they're 65 years or older, and you have a total adjusted household income of $32,561 or less, you could qualify for an additional $25,000 exemption off of the assessed value of your home.
Wow. So that'd give them 75 instead of 50.
Correct. Now, one of the things that we always had to do is every year we had to verify their income, because the government is who releases what the income threshold is every year. It changes every year. Mm-hmm. So like the 2021, to qualify this year, your total household income in 2021 couldn't exceed $32,561. So now for 2023, they'll release the number and what's the threshold for this year. And we would always have to verify that every year. And the seniors would have to sign the affidavit and get it back to us. Anyway, so a year ago, legislation was passed that once the seniors initially file and are approved, they're automatically renewed every year that at that point on. It's up to them. We will be mailing them still, a letter in the mail every January that lets them know what the new income threshold is. And it will be up to them to let us know if they've exceeded it. But
that
it will
cuts down on a lot of red tape.
Oh my gosh, just the follow-up. And, especially with our seniors, if they're limited income anyway, that doesn't typically change. And so it's a hassle. And so it's just going to be hassle-free from now on for them. But it's a great exemption. If you think you could qualify, or somebody that may qualify, please have them call our office or come in and chat with us. And then the other one is the widows and widowers exemption, along with the disability exemption. They've always typically been a $500 exemption. And I don't mean $500 in taxes, but it's $500 off the value of your assessed, it's a $500 value exemption. So that always equated to about $10 a year. And most of the time people were like, I'm not even going to waste my gas to come in for a $10 a year annual savings. Well, the legislation this year passed where that $500 exemption for widows, widowers, and the disability is now going to increase to a $5,000 exemption. So your $10 a year savings is going to jump to a $100 a year savings. So, and if you already have the exemption, there's nothing you need to do. It's just going to automatically change over January 1st of 2023. So that's going to be another benefit for,
wow,
our widows, widowers, and
because a big portion of that population is also on a fixed income.
Exactly.
So that makes a big difference.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Especially with inflation the way it is.
Correct.
Yeah. Speaking of inflation, how does that affect your office? Or
again, I think just by looking at the sales, Eileen would know. I think a lot of people who were really jumping out and created the frenzy of a market that it was last year, inflation's, I think, caused a lot of people to just take stock and, rethink, slow down, maybe push things out, right, Eileen? I mean, is that what you're seeing too?
Yes, Jenny, you're absolutely correct. There are a lot of people who were, when prices increased so much over last season and they were looking for second homes, they just said, you know what, we're going to wait. We're not going to purchase now.
Right.
My waiting list, everybody knows I have a waiting list in the Florida Club. That's where our office is. So my waiting list probably cut in half because of that.
Wow.
Because of buyers who decided not to purchase. Yep.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Right.
Although prices are, I want to say this time of year, because this is, of course, our slowest time of year, we're just coming out of that. And so prices did level off, but still prices are historically very high right now.
Yeah. And I think it was really unreasonable for a lot of people to say, oh, I'm going to get twice as much as my property's worth, and something like that. You can't do.
Well, it depended on when you bought your property. There were a lot of people that were able to do that.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's because, the real estate market is what somebody is willing to pay for it and somebody else is willing to sell for. So that's a direct relationship based on what people are willing to pay for properties.
And there's a lot of people we spoke to, after they got their trim notices and they're coming to Florida for the first time. They might have come from a state that's not required to value property every year. They might be on a 5-year or an 8-year cycle. So to come here and then realize we value your property based on sale prices. Like what is the market doing? And like you said, it's between a willing buyer and a willing seller. And a lot of times these new owners were like, but it went up 30%. How is that possible? It's possible. Yeah, it's possible because, and they might've been someone that we were talking to who paid 25% more than what our value is at, and
Right.
So explaining that it's difficult because we do have to value what the market is telling us every year. Every
Right.
year we analyze every sale. So,
Right. And if they didn't have that conversation with their realtor before they purchased, that's the first conversation that I have with buyers. You're going to buy a house that's got a cap right now. Once you buy that cap is removed. So your property is being appraised based on within the last 12-month current values.
and that's why the property tax estimator on our website, right on quick links.
I send everybody there.
Yes, it is so vital that they use that property tax estimator, plug in their sale price. Not to mention they can use it to calculate their portability. So if they're coming from somewhere else, they can put in their prior market and assessed, and it will calculate how much port they can bring. And it's a great calculator for anyone looking to buy a home or recently bought a home, just to get an idea of what their taxes will be proposed, will be.
Correct. And the fact that you were talking about these different programs that are available, it seems to me like that Florida has a lot more possibilities for adjustments to your property tax amounts than states that I have lived in the past. There are so many different programs that I think it behooves everybody to have a conversation with somebody in Jenny's office and find out exactly what they can qualify for.
Correct. I mean, we have a learn more section on our website that really goes into the exemptions, but you're talking for homeowners, there's like 30 plus exemptions. So
that's a huge number.
It's a huge number. So, I invite everyone to take a look. Like I said, we have a live chat. We have 18 operators in our office that are all chatting all day. You want to ask a quick question, take advantage of that, give us a call. And even if you're not sure, just throw the scenario at us and we'll let you know if you have something that you may qualify for. That's so important.
And Jenny, believe it or not, there are still a lot of people here who don't have access to the internet or choose not to use it. What's the best phone number for them to use to get to your office?
Yeah, it's 772-288-5608.
772-288-5608.
Correct.
Great.
Yep.
Operator standing by. Oh.
Another big one, if you don't mind just to put it out there too, is a lot of people, their marital status might change, whether they've gotten married, gotten divorced. Either way, I think it's super important for people to understand that whether you just got married or whether you just got a divorce, your marital status change could greatly affect your homestead exemption. So it is crucial, if you have recently had your marital status change, call our office, let us know, because you don't want to find yourself in a bind later. If we didn't know, or, maybe it's a benefit for you to come in and apply, get your spouse to come in and apply and things like that. So if your marital status has changed, please give our office a call your property appraiser, because we can explore those options for you as well.
You looked like you had a question, Greg.
No, I'm taking all this in. This is great information. It really is. And as Eileen said at the beginning of the show too, folks, if you have any want to take a second look at this show, it will be up on our WPSL TV site on YouTube, and take some notes if you need to. I mean, this is really informative.
Yes. And Jenny does have the ability. I'm going to send a link to her office as well this week. So she'll be able to take any parts of this interview and republish it where she wants to. So yeah, it's great information a lot of people don't even think about. There are so many questions that you don't know to ask until you hear something. And then all of a sudden it triggers a lot of questions in your mind. And let's talk about these amendments, Jenny. Or I should say proposed amendments.
So they're constitutional amendments that are going to be on your general ballot in November when you go to vote. And basically there's two. If there's more than two, but the two I'm going to talk about are Amendment 1 and Amendment 3. If they pass, and I believe they have to pass by 60% of the vote, they would take effect in January 2023. The first one, which is Amendment 1, and it's going to be worded this way: limitation on the assessment of real property used for residential purposes. It's a mouthful, but basically what Amendment 1 means is if you are doing any kind of mitigation to your home, residential, this does not apply to commercial, residential home improvements that will prevent flood damage, okay? Anything related to flood damage. And what I mean by that is you could put in dams, seawalls, levees. You could elevate your structure, filling in your basement, waterproofing your basement, anything that's going to prevent flooding. It cannot be added to the assessed value of your home. And let me just explain what that means. You know how, go ahead.
What if you're changing the gutter system on the house? Does that apply to this also?
No, in gutter systems, we wouldn't really value that.
Okay.
That's not part of the value, but
Okay.
Substantial improvements that you would make that prevent flooding. Because when you have homestead exemption and you add a new pool, let's say, okay, any kind of new construction, the new construction is not subject to that cap, that 3% cap. So if you add a new pool, that the value that we had placed on that pool is going to go on at full market value the first year. And
Right.
then it gets capped after that. What this amendment is saying is if this gets approved, any of those flood preventative measures that you take to your residential land or building cannot be added to the assessed value like a pool would be.
Okay.
In other words, it's just going to be protected by your cap.
Okay.
Does that
And
make
these
sense?
would have to be permitted improvements.
Oh, I'm sure there's stipulation, yes. So now the other amendment I want to talk to, this one has kind of been dubbed the hometown hero amendment, but what it's called is additional homestead property tax exemption for specified critical public services workforce. So basically what this is an additional up to $50,000 homestead exemption. If you are a teacher, a law enforcement officer, a correctional officer, firefighter, EMT, paramedic, child welfare services professionals, active duty members of the armed forces, and the Florida National Guard. So if you are any of those 9 or how many ever it was that I said, if you're any of those occupations, you could qualify for an additional up to $50,000 homestead. Now, it will only be applied to the portion of your assessed value above 100,000. So if your assessed value of your home is only like 95, you wouldn't even qualify. If your assessed value is 150, then you're going to get the full 50. Now, they do have to qualify every single year we have to verify that they're still active, that they're still in that occupation.
Mhm.
And that will be what do you call that? We have to verify that every single year if they qualify. So that's what that one's about.
Okay. Good. And can you give that list of professions again?
Of course, it's classroom teachers, and this does not, they're very specific about classroom teacher. So this would not be a principal or an office worker. This is a classroom teacher.
Okay.
Okay. Law enforcement officer, correctional officer, firefighter, emergency medical technician, paramedic, child welfare services professionals, active duty members of the United States Armed Forces, and the Florida National Guard.
Nothing in there about healthcare workers. Okay.
So again, all of those will be on your November 8th general ballot. Again, that was Amendment 1 about the flood, and then Amendment 3 about the additional homestead exemption.
And again, like most of those, they do need to get 60% to pass.
Correct.
Okay.
And if they pass, they would take effect in January 2023.
And it's going to require a yes vote, it's not looking for a negative answer like some of them
It
do.
needs 60% approval. Yes.
Okay.
Is there much negative pushback to these that you have heard so far?
Well, I've heard a lot of both sides. Obviously, I'll give you both sides. I mean, obviously, if you're one of those occupations, it sounds great. It's up to 50,000. So that would be wonderful. You do have to, re-qualify every year to prove that you're still in that occupation. On the flip side, there's a lot of people who say that's going to remove a tremendous amount of revenue that the county needs, or the municipalities, all your taxing authorities need to fund, what they need to do to operate our county. So on the other side, that's just that money sometimes they might say that the burden then will get put on non-homestead or commercial or rentals or things like that. But when you have that sizable amount of money that gets removed from your tax revenue, they've got to find it somewhere because their budgets don't change. So on the flip side, there's pros and cons to both sides.
Like any subject.
I guess. I mean, I would think the flood thing is pretty much a no-brainer, I would think.
Oh, yes, I would think so too.
Well, and they do that because of the claims, the insurance claims over the last, couple of years, I guess, just because they're talking about rising sea levels and things like that. So anything that they can do, they're looking at it in the long run as being preventative. Let them do that now, and then they're not going to have all these claims later. So
right. Which would be another reason to raise rates.
Naturally. Speaking of inflation. Oh my goodness.
Jenny, I really appreciate all the time you've spent with us today. Is there any last message you want to leave with everybody? I know you have such a busy schedule.
Oh, well, just if I could mention a couple things on the website. I'm on live chat. I do the chat. So if you're ever on our live chat and you're actually talking to an operator named Jenny, that's me. I love it. And I love being out, and I love talking to people, because that's the feedback that I get on how I can do my job better. And that's what's important. I want to make it easier for you and the people, to come to our website and get the information. So our website is constantly changing. A couple of the newest features, I mentioned the first one, which was the link to the proposed developments. Check it out. If you're just wanting to know what's happening in your area, it's a great interactive map. The second one is there's a lot of information going around about agritourism and agricultural classification and things like that. So because it's becoming more and more popular, we launched a questionnaire, if you will. And it's, again, right under the quick links, right below the proposed developments. And that questionnaire, if you are a farmer or you are in the agricultural industry and you want to see if you would qualify for the agricultural classification, which is that tax benefit that you can get if you're a bona fide business. This questionnaire will walk you through and ask you questions. And then based on your answers, we'll ask you another question. And it will bring you all the way to the end that will tell you whether you qualify or not, and that whether you should come into the office. The second thing that does is if you're already an agricultural bona fide business and you already have the ag classification, I encourage you, if you want to introduce agritourism activities on your property, walk through the questionnaire, because that will tell you how that agritourism activity will affect your agricultural classification. So it's a great tool. It's meant to be there. And then the last thing is anyone who looks up any property using our real property search, our sales search, you can always export those results to Excel. But now you have the capability to export all those searches to mailing labels. So whether you're wanting to just send your neighbors a Christmas card, you could literally search your street, search your subdivision, right? And a list of them, and then you just export it. It prints to Avery 5160, and you can have all your mailing labels for you. So it's a new feature. I just wanted to put that out there in case you're a business owner and you want to let everybody know around you that you're new. Check it out. It's very, it was one of those requests that we got. And so it was awesome when we finally got that implemented.
Oh, yes.
That's a great idea. That really is. That's an amazing idea.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful idea.
So then where do you go from here now that you've got all these great website improvements? Anything new on your horizon?
It's just more. We meet every other week and talk about website enhancements. We're going to be mapping out our tangible business accounts. We're going to be linking them to the real property. We have so many things coming that's going to be so exciting for our website. But again, my job is never done. My job is, how can I make your job as easy as possible? I mean, we're public service. That's what we're here for. So my job's never going to stop doing that. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep coming on and talking to anyone who will let me speak. I love to talk when I normally can. I know my voice, I sound like a frog today, but anyway, but just thank you, Eileen. Thank you to the radio show for letting me come on. And I love every opportunity. I'm not going to stop.
Well, and I want to let you know that I have heard from many people over the last several months how you have been so willing to go out into different organizations and different groups and speak. And I think that's wonderful.
We have right next to my picture on the website says schedule a speaker. We will come talk to anyone, anyone. It doesn't even matter if I can, I try to get into the HOAs because residents, I mean, who doesn't want to hear everything about appraisal and how we do your appraisal and exemptions? And I'll come talk to realtors. Anyone who wants us to come talk, we'll come talk. Just reach out.
Right. And with 30 different possible exemptions, people don't really know about that unless they hear lots of times.
No, correct. Yep.
Okay. Again, thank you very much, Jenny. We really appreciate your time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you as well.
I'll be sending this link out to you.
Awesome. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a million, Jenny. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow. Is she informative?
Absolutely.
Martin County is lucky to have her. Believe me. That's great. That's
well,
good
and of
stuff.
course, she has a great background before she got into that position too. So.
Sure. Wow. Good stuff. And great explanations. Thank you so much on constitutional amendments that can be very confusing.
Yes.
With yes meaning no and no meaning yes.
Yes.
Garbage. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jenny. Wow.
I know we're running short on time.
Yeah.
Just a
You got
few,
about 7.5 minutes
I
left.
know a few different things that I want to go over today.
Yep.
I saw a tiny house conversion on YouTube that you have to watch. So if anybody's interested in this tiny house conversion, I have the link and I can send you the link. Just text me at 772-200-5105. or you can request it through our email at mydreamhometeam@yahoo.com, and we'll send it out to you. It was really interesting.
Okay, cool. Good stuff.
I had promised last week to do let me get back in here, to do the 34994 zip code
Yeah.
for active properties. Let me pull that up real quick so that I can let you know. 34994 is the northernmost zip code of the Stewart zip codes.
That's where our WSTU studio is located right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the south side
Yep.
of the bridge, but this is also all the north side of the bridge up to the Jensen Beach zip code.
Wow, that's a large zip code.
Yes. So 34994, there are 102 residential properties currently on the market in that zip code. And that, of course, is all residential properties, single family homes, condos. If there was any vacant land, which I doubt it.
I was going to say, not much down there.
Yep.
Wow.
Let me see if I can tell you the price difference on this one. And this also has rentals in it too, because it's all residential. So these prices go all the way from $85,000, which would be a condo, up to, let me see what the high one is. Come on. Well, of course, it never works when I want it to. The high one would be
million something.
Oh, well, because this includes, this includes waterfront property in North River Shores too, and waterfront property down at Stewart. So the high would be 5,995,000.
Woohoo! I'll take a dozen. Holy smokes.
Let's see if I can pull up one more before we. Come on. Sorry, the computer just jumps around when I'm here. I apologize for that. Here we go. The other one that I have is 34952, which is a Port St. Lucie zip code. And that one has 232 available properties on it.
That's the east side.
Yep. Those prices go from, please cursor, hang on. Those prices go from $40,000 up to, and this is going to be, I think, in the millions too. Hang on one second. 40,000 up to $2,590,000.
Got to be on the river.
Yes.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not surprised for the riverfront. You bet.
Yes. So one other thing that I thought is really important, of course, I'm always about giving back. This is a program in Philadelphia. Philadelphia's Foundation's Coles House Fund was awarded a $95,000 grant to their Giving Foundation. The grant is designed to supply security deposits, rents, utility assistance to female veterans seeking permanent housing.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounded like a great program to me.
Yeah, good stuff.
This one we're going to save until next week because that gets a little lengthy. Let's do, before we run out of time, let's do a couple of these new design trends that they're talking about for 2023. They say that the most popular new design trends are coming from Milan.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
You should see these pictures. I'd love to share this article with anybody that wants me to. They are very minimalist, of course. Counters granite is not, and marble is not only on countertops, but it's all the way down the sides and the fronts
Ooh.
of the islands.
That's beautiful.
There are adjoining islands. They've used metal for shelving on walls. So really, really cool ideas. Very, very unique ideas. I can see this stuff becoming popular in the Miami area in no time.
Wow. Interesting. Good stuff.
Yep.
Wow. This has been a great show. Jenny was wealth of
So informative.
Yep.
Yes. I've talked before, but I didn't have stats. I talked before about so many cash purchases. Well, this was just published this week. All cash home purchases in the U.S. hit 31.4% of all transactions in July of 22.
What?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes. West Palm Beach had 56.4% of their transactions as cash.
All cash.
Fort
Wow.
Lauderdale had 43.4% of their transactions as cash.
Wow. Amazing.
Yes.
Woo.
Crazy. Yeah. We're out of time already, but it was a great interview with Jenny. It'll be posted on WPSL TV in a couple of days. You can certainly review it anytime you want to. Have a wonderful week and come and see us at Addington Place on Sunday.
There you go. And we'll see you next week.
Okay.
You've been listening to My Dream Home Radio right here on WSTU Stewart, Martin County's heritage station since 1954, and WPSL, Port St. Lucie.